One of the largest cultural celebrations in Belize is Garifuna Settlement Day, held annually on the 19th of November. The day commemorates the arrival of the largest group of Garinagu to Belize and starts with the reenactment of the historic journey Yurumein from St. Vincent to Roatan, Honduras, and then to the Belizean shores. Some historians assert that Africans were in the New World prior to the arrival of the Europeans in 1492. The arrival of the Europeans brought the largest group of Africans as slaves to the New World. In 1635, a Spanish ship carrying enslaved Africans was wrecked off the coast of the Caribbean island of St. Vincent. Survivors escaped slavery and made their way to the island where they lived and settled in the community of Kalinago, among the indigenous Arawak and Carib Indians. This intermingling resulted in the emergence of a distinct cultural group known as the Garinagu. With the arrival of the Europeans to the New World, the indigenous people and the Garinagu faced 300 years of warfare against the Spaniards, French, and the British. The final battle occurred in 1763 as the British invaded the island. The Garinagu, led by Paramount Chief Joseph Chatouye, fought fiercely to retain control over their land.
Yurumein was our home, but we were driven away by the British or the white man. And that is the reason why we are here seeking haven and at the same time looking for people like ourselves to take us in. There is always a yearning among Garifuna people for Yurumein. They have so many songs for Yurumein. They even have songs for Chatouye. Mege wamale waburate, mege wamale aye, mege wamale Chatouye, yigirehi wabi. See, we are in need of Joseph Chatouye because our land has become desolate. Like we don't have a direction, and we need this man. We need this king. Because as far as the Garifuna people, Chatouye was their king, and he was.
Joseph Chatouye was a great leader. First, he was Paramount Chief. He was a great leader, visionary leader. He refused to have Garinagu people enslaved by anybody. He rejected the idea of any other king except himself, not even the king of Finland. Chatouye and his men were well on their way to victory when at midnight he and his army were ambushed, and then in that ambush Chatouye was mortally wounded and he died 14th March 1795.
This was followed by the imprisonment of 5,080 Garinagu from St. Vincent to the nearby barren island of Balisaw from July 1796 until March 11, 1797, during which time more than half of the population perished from disease and starvation. Those who survived were then exiled to the British island of Roatan, Honduras, with 222 persons lost en route.
You have read the history of the Garifuna people and you know the history. That reenactment to me goes beyond the 19th of November. It even goes to April the 12th, when Garifuna people were exiled from Yurumein March the 11th, 1797. And they spent 31 days on the Caribbean before they got to Roatan, with an 18-day stopover in Jamaica. So just think about that length of journey for an exiled people, a captured people, a hostage people. Think about what they went through.
Shortly after being exiled on the island of Roatan, the Garinagu made their way to the mainland of Spanish Honduras and settled in Trujillo. There, their skills won them favor with the Spanish royalists. In 1823, 2 years after the independence of Central America, the Spanish royalists had failed in their attempts to take over Honduras, and the Garinagu found themselves on the wrong side of the political fence. In the aftermath, the Garinagu were hunted and massacred. Many were forced to flee to neighboring British Honduras. According to some accounts, the Garinagu started to trickle into Belize, then British Honduras, from as early as 1802. Within the next 2 decades, more Garinagu arrived, including the largest group in 1823, under the leadership of Alijo Beni. Upon settling in Belize, the Garinagu population grew and their cultural practices survive up to this day. Today, Garifuna Settlement Day commences in the early morning with Yurumein, commonly called reenactment, and portrays the story of the largest group of Garinagu seeking permission from British authorities to settle in present-day Belize.
There was a meeting held in April of 1823 with Superintendent Card, and it was Alejo Beni, Alejo Lambe, Raimundo Lewis, and Raimundo Martinez. Met with Superintendent Card at the settlement at the mouth of the river, asking permission for Garinagu people to settle in Belize.
Jesus, leader, you move tonight. What a yara not. What yara not. Bandi ranking the Maya. One woman, Lisa, the very love to put the ya. All the name bloody penny about. All the Hamay, Santi, Gurunelu, Agapta Gurunelu. Nita go about, Luatruya, Fuato, Mapra has the town super. Look, not to go up. Look, Nadia, who's so Gurunelu, Mapra Hatua, Betua, who but I will lose what children you are. Allah is the Yabi Rangi. Make up a few
Well, it just so happens I've come from a meeting with the General Staff, and we think that we can send them south of the Sudan. They're going to have no rights over that land. We could open up that land. James, tell them they can land, they can go south of the Sudan. Would you do that, please?
The reenactment is a cultural and symbolic portrayal of the various historical Garifuna figures such as Joseph Chatoye and Alijo Beni, as well as the harsh conditions faced during their journey. The reenactment is then followed by a procession led by the black, white, and yellow flag, which symbolizes the Garinagu's Amerindian and African heritage and their search for peace. Together, the actors, the community, and visitors make their way in this lively procession to the church for a Mass of Thanksgiving.
So the purpose of the Mass is actually to pray over the fruit that they brought. So from there, they plant it and they can reproduce. If you notice in the father days, we used to have cassava with fish and so on, cocoa, and that's the Garifuna food that they usually eat. This is why we have, because those food wasn't here. They brought them along with them. For the reason they pray over them so they can. In the Garifuna culture, they say that if you pray over it, actually you plant it, actually it can nourish.
The items used in Yurumein also have a cultural significance as part of the ancestors' journey from Honduras to Belize.
we dress up, which is, if you notice, people put because it was sunny, so there wasn't any canvas over the boat. So what they did, they used a straw hat, which is made of grape leaf. As well, you can make them out of coconut leaf. Some people make them out of the palm trees. So it's like a shed for them to cover over the head because they were traveling from a good distance. So it's like a shade for them.
One, greenery among Garifuna people means life. The symbolism is food. Coconut, cassava bread, which is with the cassava stems.
It was Thomas Vincent Ramos, a Garifuna icon and Belizean patriot, who lobbied for the celebration of the arrival of the Garinagu. TV Ramos has been immortalized as the founder of Garifuna Settlement Day, which was initially known as Carib Disembarkment Day. He envisioned the need for the recognition of the Garinagu, and on November 19, 1941, TV Ramos, along with Mateo Avaloy and C.S. Bengoche, wrote an official letter to the District Commissioner of Stan Creek requesting that a public and bank holiday be held there. In 1943, the holiday was awarded to Stan Creek Town, now Dangriga. In the 1970s, Garifuna leaders lobbied for the Carib Settlement Day to become a national holiday. In 1977, the holiday was granted nationwide, and the name was officially changed to Garifuna Settlement Day. Today, the Garifuna Settlement Day celebrations have evolved into a month-long series of activities highlighting the Garifuna culture and history. Although Yurumein is a Garifuna celebration that comes from within the soul of the Garinagu, other cultures have come to appreciate it as part of nation's history and national identity. On May 18, 2001, UNESCO proclaimed Garifuna language, music, and dance a masterpiece of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity as a result of efforts by the National Garifuna Council. In 2008, this proclamation was transferred to the UNESCO's representative list of Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity.